Oh, welcome to the reshoot of 28 Days Later.
Well, at the moment, yes, something
Yeah,
like that.
I'm Jeremy Dermy.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of one for myself. Yours is easy.
Yeah, and I'm here at New Game Plus executive producer Jason O'Cromicron. Hand.
No, I'm a crom. Okay,
There you go.
yeah, okay. Oh, yeah.
I can think of
Yeah,
anything like
Omicron. Yeah.
Omicron.
Yeah, Omicron. Yeah.
No, we're both. Well, I'm tail end of the sick, and I got Jason sick. So
Yeah,
last week.
it's not corona. I did test that for first because the first thing that happened to me was my sinuses dried up, and I'm like, we're talking about sickness on the radio. First thing people want to listen. My sinuses dried up, which is what happened to me when it was coronavirus. But since then, I'm like, no, it's definitely a more standard chest infection-y kind of
This is
jam.
the first health update I've heard since Dictator Dan used to do.
Yeah. But yeah, the first thing I did was COVID check still. I've still got that reflex in me to check for COVID first. And no, not COVID.
No, I know what it was. I had it for a weekend. I'm on the tail end now. But anyway, so welcome to News Game Plus. We may be pressing the cough button a few times.
Have you been playing anything?
I've been playing a lot of Colin McRae Rally on PS1 on my Evercade. I've mentioned my Evercade before. I've got an Evercade Versus that I've loaded up with PlayStation 1 games. Don't tell Blaze. But Colin McRae Rally, my brother's big into Forza, and he bought himself, because he's an electrician, so he's got way more money than me now. He bought himself like a wheel that's got the force
whole
feedback
phase,
and so he's telling me about Forza, and here I am playing Colin McRae Rally 1 with like Minecraft level graphics on the PS1.
Yeah, nice.
But I've been loving it. There's something about those old rally games. I don't know whether it's just that thing you don't really like Star Wars. You just haven't been happy since you were 9. That sort of thing.
Yeah, gotcha.
I've been a bit like that with Colin McRae Rally. What about yourself?
At the moment, it's tough. At the moment, I'm looking for something to occupy a particular genre that I want to play, and I just haven't found it lately. I don't know how else to say it. Like, I've been looking for like another story game. I've been looking for something that kind of captures me and has a good gameplay loop and all that kind of stuff. But I haven't found anything that's doing it for me. And I bought a few new games and stuff, and I've installed a couple of old ones. Like, I finished GTA 4, I mentioned last one, and now I finished Dave the Diver. And so I'm kind of in a limbo. When I'm not playing Helldivers, I'm like, what game am I going to play?
So you're looking for another experience that just...
Yeah, because I've got English EDF coming out. That'll land a week before I land back in Australia. So the week I'm back in Australia after Japan, I'll be back in to play a lot of EDF. But until such point, like, I just haven't got anything that's jumping at me. And I don't know. People are going to make suggestions. I want to play the Elden Ring thing. I'm not that tedious.
You're not into that game.
I'm not that tedious a gronk that it's going to appeal to me. So yeah.
I don't know. It's like when you get a game experience like a what was it called, the one where you can rewind time. Max and that annoying friend she had.
Oh, Life is Strange.
Yeah, that's it. I was thinking Stranger Things. That's a show.
Life is Strange is free on PlayStation at the moment.
Yeah, you get something like that, or that game with the two prisoners trying to escape. Don't spoil the end, because the end's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
But you get something like that, and then you sit afterwards and you go, oh, I'd like to play something that good, but nothing comes along for a while that's quite catchy.
Yeah,
the same.
I can definitely tell we're on the decline as far as generation goes for the Switch. And I think even for the other two, like, I can't think of another PlayStation game that is like jumps out at me. And Xbox has all these games that are meant to be coming out, but they're not going to come out till 2025 at earliest. And I'm like, that's probably too late for me to care. I don't know.
I actually had Game Pass listed down as well. I think so. Let's jump into that.
Yeah, cool.
And I'll try and set up because we apparently been jumping too quickly into things. But
No. Remember, Galier's Mr. Irrelevant, so you can't take all of his.
No, it's fair.
But his feedback's been good, but he was always Mr. It's off topic. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's good banter.
Off
just shut
topic
up.
with us too. See the thing with though, the old saying "customer's always right." That's not literal, and it didn't mean that because there was a sentence before that. But but there's always something to take away.
The sentence afterwards in matters of taste.
Oh, is it afterwards? Yeah. So look, the Game Pass additions and removals have been kind of boring. I look at them and I go, yeah, there's nothing really happening. So I was actually going to bring up in this, I'm going to bring it forward. I was going to bring up in this podcast today, you know how they moved Halo to be a live service game, Halo Infinite, and it's just not really
Halo
doing
Infinite
anything.
sucked, but yeah, because I mean, keep in mind when
It was
people
pretty
talk
shit.
when I talk about Halo Infinite, the actual gameplay loop is great. I think Halo, as far as playing as a video game, is in the best spot it's been in for a while. As far as the way it feels, the shooting's good, all that kind of stuff. When we played a fair bit of it when it launched, it was in a really, really good spot. But now, I'm not convinced it's in... okay, because the actual single player sucked, and it launched without co-op, and now it's got co-op, but who gives a shit? Like, no one cares, you know what I mean?
Well, see, I was actually going to bring that up with regard to without a release. See, Game Pass's releases that come and go quietly. So unless you're reading like what the updates are online or on Stevivor or something, you don't really know what's coming and going because nothing's exciting. So they miss out on the launch. You know, we talk about E3. EA3's gone away because they used to have the big launch when they'd have a big spectacle to say something. Now, live service game, you can have seasons of that, but they don't have the same kick to them. Where if you released a Halo every year or 6 months, it would have a kick, right? If you had a new Halo's coming, these are the new features. There'd be a buzz and a hype. But when you make it live service like that, there's no buzz or hype.
Yes and no. I agree with what you're saying. I agree with your premise. And I think that's why there's only been a certain amount of successful live service games. Destiny, whether we like it or not, has been successful enough to maintain itself. I still think it's an awful game, and it's always just been Halo Light. Have you actually played Destiny?
No.
It just feels like old Halo Light.
No, the boy played it, and I wasn't allowed to because I wasn't allowed to wreck his game.
Right. Makes sense.
Because I'm bad at games.
Yeah, I understand that, yeah. I mean, I've seen you. Yeah, it's fine.
I've turned into Kapowski from the original Good Game series.
And so, like, it's that thing of, like, you can do it, but I think, because you've got basically Call of Duty does it yearly now. They come out yearly. Each one is a new game, technically, but then they have overarching it Warzone. And Warzone changes depending on thing, and then they do a new single-player title coming out.
Yeah, but that's the hype. That's the hype cycle that we still need.
Yeah.
And it's harder now in the online world.
Yes.
But you still need a hype cycle of some sort.
But at the same time, I think Helldivers, had Sony not Sony'd, I still think Helldivers would be into its... Because at the moment, it's 100,000 concurrent online or something like that.
Yeah, that was one of my other items I was going to bring up.
Yeah, but, right. So we'll go into that proper later, but it's still... Even after Sony did what they did, it's still up there, right? And it's a live service game. But it was always a live service game. You knew what you were getting. But its gameplay loop is so good. It's just so... It's great. It carries it on that basis, right? They're hitting that point where they're starting to hit the wall now, where they're going to have to introduce probably new... I would say by Christmas we'll have the new species in.
The aliens. My son's convinced they're aliens.
It's going to be StarCraft. It's going to be the Protoss.
For the South Korean gamers.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've already think of it. You've already got the Zerg. You've already got the bugs, right?
Okay, yeah.
You've already got and you've got because it's humans, Zerg, and Protoss, right? So you've got the Terminators, which is the bots. You've got the bugs, which is the Zerg, and then they reckon there's going to be like there's been a few encrypted messages randomly come up, and it's like it's some of the funny ones is like they're like the bots are hacking our network, blah 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 blah. It's because I think they sent out an email blast that was accidental. Like, but the automatons are hacking our network. The fact they commit to their metagame is what makes that game
their
great.
social media game and their off-game game is pretty good.
Yes.
I've seen stuff about that.
And it's been worse since Sony got involved. But my thing is, if you go out of your way to start a live service game and it fits, and it's not a traditional like tentpole release, like it's not. Gears, Halo, they're tentpole releases. Those ones are the ones that are like, here is the game, here are the changes we're making to the game, here is how it's going to continue to be whatever it's going to be, right? That's different to something that's built to be a live service, a Division, whatever the case may be, right? Like Division was built with less of a peaks, like it's got less, like no one goes, new Division expansion's coming out. It's going to be the peak of our release calendar.
My son does that, though. He's always telling me about that.
Right, but Halo's still a tentpole release. Halo is still going to sell 15 million copies.
Yeah,
right?
and see, where I was going with that was, so you've got your Game Pass, the additions and that are kind of not very interesting. Nothing jumps out and grabs you. I would suggest to Microsoft, going back to Halo being a regular release, would if they want to grow Game Pass, then that would help as a kick. Every 6 months to 12 months, a kick.
Word has it they've just hired new designers and stuff at 343 that they believe are going to be in charge of the new Halo whatever it's going to be now. Because the original it's going to be the platform for 10 years, and I'm like, I think it's fine to say we're going to use this engine, we're going to use these existing assets.
That
like
was
they did
always
with
the
Reach
case.
and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right. I think that's fine, but to say that this is going to be how it's going to be for the next however long.
No, well, game engines, the amount of effort to put in to make a game engine, you want it to be.
Yes,
correct.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
one did it was at Ubisoft Montreal did with the engine they made specifically for Deus Ex Mankind Divided.
Yeah.
And didn't they just use on one game? Or even Just Cause 4, they made a special engine that could do tornadoes and then
got rid of it.
That was it. Just Cause 4 is a good franchise. It seems to have disappeared
well,
as well.
So Avalanche have their own engine, the Avalanche Apex engine, and they were the ones who did that game, I'm pretty sure. But, the hunting game that I play, it's the same people.
Oh, really?
So they use, I reckon
You need tornadoes in there so you can
I reckon
shoot cows that are flying through the air.
I reckon they use the hunting game. It's really, I feel like they did it as here's how we test our environmental engine, here's how we test our AI engine, here's how we test all these things. Like, if such stimulus exists in the game, therefore the animals act like Y. You know what I mean? I feel like it was a good chance for them to do that. And then they did Gen Zero, which means they brought in they brought in like robots and more attacking classes and stuff. And then they've used that same engine since then. I could be wrong, but I feel like that's how that progression's gone.
Oh, anyway, I reckon before moving on Helldivers, I just reckon Microsoft should go back to Halo distinct releases to help Game Pass.
Call of Duty's coming to Game Pass. That's going to be big.
Well, that's a distinct release thing, and that has a story.
The active stuff is coming. I think Diablo's now
they have
on
to,
Game
They have
Pass.
to keep with the story mode, though, because with Call of Duty, people underestimate, as a multiplayer game, people underestimate how loved the story modes were in those.
I mean, we're at Black Ops 6 now.
Yeah, but they need to keep that because that's that. Yeah, if Microsoft can have every 3 months a Halo or Call of Duty game or something, they need to go back to, instead of trying to make live services, and the underlying engine can last for 10 years, but instead of having live services ongoing, if they really want to grow Game Pass, they need to go back to having a kick every couple of months.
10 polls, every 3 months. Yeah, have a 10 poll.
I reckon 3 months.
The last one was Starfield. I got to say.
Yeah, but Starfield, I don't think did. Probably Starfield is Starfield. Once you've done it, but once you've done it, why you're still there, kind of, to a degree. Now, that will lead on. The segue I've been waiting for is Helldivers. Now, you said a lot of people are still playing Helldivers because it was so massive, but there has been a 90% drop-off in players in the last, they say, 5 months.
Yeah.
Do you see that as a result of the PSN, or do you think that's just a natural drop away?
It definitely hurt it. You still get Russians, you still get Eastern Europeans. Keep in mind that half of Eastern Europe can't buy a PlayStation.
Well, they're just practicing when they play that.
Right.
They're just prepping for next week.
They're waiting for exactly. Today, the next planet to show up in Helldivers is going to be Maripol.
America.
Well,
kind of busy there now.
But it is that thing of I think it definitely hurt it, and you still get Russians and stuff now. You're like 100%, you still get them. Like you can tell from the names and stuff. So there's people who are willing to skirt it and go around it, but you can tell they run on VPNs. Like they're lagging. You can tell, and it's that thing of it was just such a dumb. Some upper manager said, if we can convert these guys into PlayStation accounts, then we can say, look at the amount of numbers we have versus Game Pass. Yeah. And they flubbed it. They just flubbed it so goddamn hard. And it's ridiculous that how do these people still have a job? If someone had done that, if you'd have gone to me, hey, instead of having this popular product that we're making $60 Australian a pop on, so we're making $40 US a pop every time someone buys a copy of this game. We're not happy with that, and we've sold literal millions of them, right? It's got such a healthy player base, like it hasn't dropped off player base, it's grown player base. You know what we'll do? We'll just be greedy. And that's all it was. It was just pure greed. And I say this, I know obviously people at local Sony and stuff like that, and they're wonderful, nice people, but Jesus, someone at head office, their head needed a roll for this. Like, someone in head office needed to really just get the arse for this call. It was such a dumb thing to do.
Well, see, businesses always take, they think they take the risk into account. Like, if you raise prices, you think, if we raise the prices this much, we might have 10% of our customers drop off, right, and go elsewhere. So they would have done that decision where they said, there might be a hit, but I don't think they would have expected 90%.
I haven't seen Helldivers go on sale since it came out. It's been out for 4 months, 3 or 4 months. I've not seen it go on sale, and I don't think it's needed to go on sale because the quality of the product is what it is. If you bought it when it launched and you bought it now, you are still getting $60 worth, 60 Australian dollars worth. It is genuinely, it's still my game of the year. I still play it 10 hours a week. You know what I mean? Like I'm into the 420 hours, 430 hours. Hey, 420. I'm still into these stupid numbers, and I play but I definitely find now I'm getting, depending on the time of day, I'm getting more Americans. I'm getting more of the standard.
Yep.
Whereas previously I was getting, Europeans, I was getting Russians, I was getting whatever. And now I'm not getting them. And it was purely an own goal. Like, I could ramble on it all day. And I said, when I've said to everyone, it's my game of the year, even after Sony's it'll still be my game of the year. And I didn't think this would be quite so bad. And then I read actually what they wanted you to do, and I'm like, well, there goes half of Eastern Europe. Because if you're in anywhere, quote unquote, aligned with Russia, and I say that, knowing that, if you're in somewhere that isn't part of the Eastern European and the European Union, you don't have a Sony account. You can't have a Sony account because Sony. Here's one for you. Mm-hmm. Sony doesn't pay GST; they pay VAT. You're buying it from Sony in England.
Yep.
So technically, and hopefully none of the ATO is not listening, you can't claim your PlayStation receipts as a straight GST deduction. You have to subtract 10% off because you haven't paid GST. You paid VAT, not GST. And so it's dodgy as all hell, right? And again, can't trust the Irish, but like, it's based out of Ireland. Ireland in England is where it's based out of.
Pom.
Yeah, right. Like, easy. I'm still in striking range. And so...
so that was a pretty mean thing to say to an Irishman.
Yeah, and so it's still
any Serbian friends? They
Kakosi, right? And so, but yeah, no, and so it will never not anger me how bad. Like, and don't get me wrong, it still gets really good numbers. It still gets what you would consider great numbers for a shooter of its type at this point in time. Like, still 100,000 per month players, blah blah. Games would kill for those kind of numbers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Dota and CS:GO and all those Valve games are still going to be the kings of it. Fortnite still does, I would say, less impressive numbers than it used to. I feel like there's a bit of a drain from Fortnite, but those ones have those astronomical numbers that you just could never have imagined.
The publishers and that they crave those numbers.
Right, and so Helldivers was sitting up in the lofty heights of that for a while, but for a B-release Sony game, they never expected it. So it's still exceeding expectations in that sense. So it's the reverse of Square Enix, where we sell 5 million copies of Tomb Raider, but that doesn't hit our expectations. Like, what the hell kind of expectations did you have on it? Like,
The if they had have thought Helldivers was going to be as big as it was,
they would have put their claws in earlier.
Yeah, so it would never have been as big as it was.
Correct. Yeah,
it's an interesting one. Our corporate stupidity has no bounds. I'm going to segue to another corporate thing, and a weird quote from Ubisoft.
Okay.
Have you seen this? Okay, so Ubisoft laid off a couple of devs, not as bad as normal. Wasn't 10,000 of them, which is Amazon's about to lay off 10,000 people anyway. But
Amazon one's about to come out. That's going to be bad.
So Ubisoft only laid off about 30-something people, but their quote was they laid off these people, quote, to deliver on our ambitious roadmap. I'm curious, unless you've laid off middle management or actually project managers on your IT projects, because they're normally a waste of space. Big hello to every one of my managers I've ever had. I'll give you a pass, Darren. Anyway, how does laying off people deliver on an ambitious roadmap, unless your ambitious roadmap is to basically get rid of everyone?
I would say that, like you say, I think it would actually be, for once, middle managers, and I think it would be a lot of them in... Let's say you're working out of Ubisoft Montreal, right? And you've got a role there whose job is liaison with Shanghai or Bucharest or whoever your support studios are.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just going to cut out that middleman and just have someone from Bucharest report in. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that's the kind of low-level job, because that's not 30 devs, that's not 30 artists.
I'm pretty sure they said devs, I'm joking about the managers, because I've never respected managers in my field. But
like you make the joke, but I've only ever met one person who was a competent IT manager IT project manager now that you've said it. So
I did a lot of years of corporate, and most were a waste of space.
Yeah, most of them were those people who had one skill when they took it in uni, and they just kept it, and they just got seniority and sat in that chair. Yeah, I get it.
I really, nothing better than working
The,
on my
the
own.
best
being away
the
from
best
these
IT project
clowns.
manager I've ever met was someone who'd never done a day
Hello
of coding.
Phil, hello Nigel.
She'd never done a day of coding in her life. She just knew what it took to get a job done. You know what I mean? Like, and that was,
But that can still work.
oh no, but she was smart enough to know when she didn't know. Do you know what I mean?
Oh
It's
yeah,
like,
okay, cool.
yeah.
See, it can still work. I do believe you have to be a good coder to be a good manager of coders to understand them and communicate with them. But you can do it otherwise.
But she was also used to dealing with people like me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because as long as you understand the mindset of the people you're dealing with, because
yeah.
I did a bit of project management, I did a lot of team leading, and you need to be able to understand the thinking and the people.
Yeah.
Most managers are just clowns that sit around asking when things are done.
Yeah. What's the deadline? We're hitting this deadline. Instead of, and I always found that advocacy is the big thing for management. And like I said, I feel like based on the numbers you've said, I can't imagine it's your random devs. I can't imagine it's your thing. Unless
when's this project going to be finished? It's, we needed it a month earlier, but we won't be able to do a month earlier. Well, can we cut out all the testing? Well, I used to get shit like that from managers.
I believe
we can't cut the testing out. We need to test it. But make it with no bugs. Like, is this happening?
The best managers...
I've had that discussion so many times.
The best managers I've even had in retail were the ones who knew when to push. Like, they'd be like, the head office wants it done in 2 weeks. Can we do it in 2 weeks? Like, no, we can do it in a month, but we can't do it in 2 weeks. So they go back and push back and go, what about 3 weeks? You know what I mean? They negotiate.
You get someone go, no, you're very clever. You'll be able to work it out.
I hate
so
that.
it's going to be my fault.
Yeah, exactly. No, like,
and then you sit down and do a performance review, and they go, "No, this didn't get done." Yeah, I know. I told you it wasn't.
Yeah. I feel
never
like
think through the consequences of your actions. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
You just have no comprehension of talking back, of pushing back against anyone senior to you because you're so fucking weak.
Up their ass. Yeah.
I'm.
Are you okay? Yeah, you having a moment? Yeah, you're having a moment. We'll come back. Grandpa Gerard's having his Vietnam moment.
I'm going to mute myself and get triggered for a bit longer.
Yeah.
Bite.
But the big one I think for that would be just based on the numbers of people, it's got to be a specific department, right? You've got to look at it's either a specific office or a specific department, like whether it's a localization office. Like I could see them going, well, we're going to do.
Localizers.
Machine localization, and then get someone to check it. You know what I mean? And that's
AI localization,
shit like that, right? You know what I mean? When they talk about ambitious agenda, that's what I think of. And 30 people. It sounds awful to say, and for those 30 people, their world may be ending, and my heart goes out to them. But from a corporate point of view, when you're Ubisoft
localizers can be wankers, though.
That is also true. I'm lucky in that sense that a few localization people I know aren't fucking idiots. So yeah,
I didn't say all are, but they can be wankers. So, I think the US ones can be. Are you muting me or you?
Nah, me. All right, so what you want about the Yanks, I don't care.
I'll move on to the next one. I just found that corporate speak of getting rid of people to deliver on an ambitious roadmap. That's where we're at in video games, where the corporates are just pulling that shit out.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, here's a happy story. I got a happy one for
here
you.
we go.
Because I have a lot of hope for this. The new Crazy Taxi reboot is going to be an open world MMO. And you're going to have players racing against each other, I assume, to pick up. Because I tried to watch the preview of this, and it's blocked in Australia. Thanks, guys. That was really useful. But the players race against each other to deliver people, and they're being chased by police cars while they're doing it, which is a new addition. They didn't have police cars in
That's true, yeah.
Now, I can see potentially, if this is done right, I think this is going to be... By the way, this one, not the one that's blocked, the other one. I'll get to that later. But I can see a lot of potential with that. An open world Crazy Taxi,
sure, but it
could work.
It's got to nail. Crazy Taxi was very much a product of 2003 in the sense that its aesthetic was that era. Like it looked very 90s, having Bad Religion and Offspring in an era when they were popular, but they weren't. You know, who was going? I
good
love Bad
soundtrack
Religion.
on the Dreamcast,
right?
Still
and so
the best.
that's what I mean. Like it's Dreamcast era we're talking. So
99.
Yeah. But that's so that kind of Well, I guess it was a pre. Because everything's been dour and shit since 2001, and so I think people.
It has actually.
People are too young to remember. And
that's another podcast, but that's
true.
I
say that. Yeah, I say that to a lot of kids. I'm like, you guys don't remember a world where everything was dour and shit and postmodern. And I love postmodern shit, but I'm like,
nothing's changed in 20 years.
Nope, the culture has stagnated. I've said this to everyone.
Anyway, China hasn't. China's been coming silent food. That's another podcast. But anyway, look, I can see. See, Crazy Taxi was they had to start the music, sort of thing, and that was just fun, right? Let's just get ready to make some crazy money, And yes, that was how the whole world was back in the late late 90s, early 2000s. But I can see a Crazy Taxi open world MMO working where you're racing to get customers and they're racing to deliver them. Now, the thing I hope they add, I didn't see any mention of it. I really hope you can play as the police.
Yeah, as soon as you said the coppers, I can see a world where you you've got people
that would be fun,
like cops and robbers mode.
Yeah.
I mean that was the thing with Burnout. Burnout had cops and robbers, and Need for Speed Hot Pursuit and stuff like that was always well regarded for that reason. You know what I mean? Because suddenly you added this competitive element to it, this competition element to it. And not in an overt, overwrought way, just in a pretty kind of straightforward way. So yeah.
And also, there's a big bonus, especially in the US version. One of the Crazy Taxi drivers in the original game was black. So if you're playing as an American cop, it becomes a first-person shooter.
Yeah, and just specifically, they just ignore everyone else. It's like, what the hell are the 40 cop cars chasing the one guy? And you know, and you literally
switches to first-person shooter mode.
Yeah, you're literally just going to the shops for milk. And it's like, oh, we better get 40 cop cars after it.
It shouldn't be a joke.
Yeah.
Okay, now so I'm looking forward to the Crazy Taxi. I think that has me interested. No, I don't normally get interested in new games. I like playing old games, as you know. Now, on another multiplayer online game, the best anime ever made is getting another.
Sword Art Online.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's 20 playable characters across the whole Sword Art Online extended universe.
EU, we've got an EU.
Yeah. Although you only really need Kirito, really. I mean,
I was waiting for that.
So, and
the little bit I know about that series is from you and your daughter. So yeah.
Yeah, well, she's moved on from that, and she thinks
she's got
I'm
taste now. So
some sort of scrub, or
that's true.
She calls me names, but I love Sword Art Online. Except for last half of season 2 can probably be deleted. But 20 characters doing online. World of Warcraft style missions. Actually, that sounds interesting as well. But I'm a Sword Art Online
that was
fan.
always Sword Art Online's premise, wasn't it? It was like an online world and stuff like that. And
Well, yeah. Well, that's a bit meta. Although one thing I'm worried about is if you die in the game.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't bring that up already.
Yeah.
That would make it. That would be a really good permadeath mode.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sure. I mean, yeah. Is that your way of slowly getting rid of the weebs? Like just whittling out their numbers. Just put on permadeath mode, guys. What does it do? Don't worry about it. Just put it on.
I head to the Liberal Party offices and get a free account. Okay, cool. So that's on the MMO games. I mentioned retro before. Just jumping around a little bit. Now I said I've been playing Colin McRae Rally on my Evercade Versus. I do carry, as I've got here, I've always carried my little Evercade or Super Hyper Mega Tech Super Pocket. It's a long name, but basically a handheld retro system. And they've just announced 2 new ones. So anyone that likes the retro games, check out the Evercade. There's 2 new ones. There's an Atari one and a Technos one, which is Double Dragon. Right, so it comes built in with a couple of different versions of Double Dragon, River City Ransom, and a couple other games. Just in a small little handheld.
River City Ransom is a great game, and they still make them. They still make versions of Arc System Works still every year release. I've just downloaded Stay Cool Kobayashi, which is like the. Did you play River City Girls?
That was a remake of.
It wasn't a remake. It was a sequel.
Didn't it get a lot of fuss at the time because
people are mental? No, the first one was really good.
I'm the one who gets in trouble.
Yeah, the problem with the first one was if anything the stats grew because it had stat growth and it grew just a little bit too slow. Like you start off just too weak and then by the end of it you're just more powerful than God kind of thing.
But that's how games are supposed to be.
Yeah, but no. Well, yeah. I mean, we're talking Bethesda games here, but So. The first game was pretty good. I didn't play the second one, and then I downloaded because I got Stay Cool Kobayashi for like $3. I was like, all right, for $3 I'll play it. And it's that old school River City Ransom sprites, you know, like the volleyball sprites. Because that's the other one as well. Is they turned Arc System Works made a lot of dodgeball games of using the same sprites and stuff. And so it was all the different delinquent high schools playing against each other and all that kind of stuff. And so. That was a very popular thing for that era, and I still play them. Like I've got them all on my Switch and stuff like that. And I've got I bought a copy on 3DS. They released like a 3DS compilation of them. So one of the very few 3DS games I have on a cartridge is Super Dodgeball with like 6 versions of Dodgeball on there. But so I'm always big on those games. Like I love the River City Ransom series.
Yeah, well, if you like those sorts of games, I mean, it's a little dedicated handheld that just comes loaded with a couple of Double Dragons and River City Ransom.
And then you can still put things on in the back.
You can still put cartridges in. I'm going to do it here. Hang on. Because I just love doing
I'm surprised that thing can run a PS1. That's pretty impressive, really.
Just put a cartridge in. Doesn't that sound good?
Yeah.
I'll do it again.
How are the rear triggers? Because they've got that weird setup, the 4...
Oh, yeah, and I don't like these at all. But,
yeah.
I mean, they're all doing this now. All the retro handhelds have got these weird... Try it out. They've got these weird sort of back... They're not triggers anymore.
I don't like them. Like, it should have a little lip. It should... catch.
A lot of them are doing this. I don't like it as this thing, but anyway, look, it doesn't just do PlayStation 1 games, or it doesn't just. I mean, I know it's PlayStation 1's newer, but it does Amiga games really well. Really, so if you like Amiga games, if you're that sort of person. So anyway, so there's new Hyper MegaTech Super Pockets. They're an Evercade thing. They just could do a different brand for the licensing stuff. They've come out the new one's Atari with 50 Atari games spread across 2600 to 7800, some 5200 games and arcade games.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it's got all the standards, your Yard's Revenge, your Missile Command, and all that. Doesn't have any of the Namco ones, unfortunately. Hopefully, one day
Namco license that stuff themselves.
Yeah, no Pac-Man.
Namco are doing an Oreo promotion in Australia at the moment.
Are they? Really?
Yeah, if you're at Coles, it's a Namco. Pac-Man Oreos. And obviously they've cut the Oreo with the gap in there too. So,
nice. I hope they're yellow.
Yeah.
Cool.
That would be weird, but okay.
Anyway,
Imagine open it up and go, what the fuck is it?
Yeah, the other Super Pockets, Double Dragon, basically Technos. So if you like Double Dragon, go check it out. They're like $100 for a little handout.
There's a new Double Dragon game. It's not Double Dragon Gaiden, which is like the roguelike brawler. If you didn't know that, there you go. That's why. Because there's another Double Dragon game at the moment.
There you go. Well, anyway, if it was made in the last 30 years, I'm not interested.
That's true.
There's I mentioned anime before. I'm jumped around because I went out of order for the holdover stuff, so I'm catching up. The Attack of Titans VR game coming.
Okay.
That would be pretty cool. That'd be trippy as hell.
Did you play the other ones? Attack on Titan 1 and 2?
And VR?
No, normal. I'm playing like Xbox.
No. I've watched a bit of the show. I found it intriguing.
The show's really good. And I like the twist, and I still like the ending. I know that puts me at odds with a lot of the rest of the world.
You haven't petitioned to change it.
No. I mean, like I said, I'll complain about a shit ending, but I won't ever tell them to change it. I'd rather them not retcon it and just, if they're going to do it like a different canon ending. But I mean, I'm the same person who liked the original ending of Evangelion, so.
You told me to watch that. That was
Evangelion. You like Evangelion.
I started watching it, and for whatever reason I didn't. Not because I didn't like it. I just can't remember why.
It's hard to find because you got Netflix dub. Netflix dub sucks. I'll lend you my DVDs.
Okay. Physical media.
Physical media. Yeah, you're the only person I know with a DVD player.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes. Right now, I was listening to this and going, yes. Physical media.
Attack on Titan VR. I could see how it could work. The amount of people who are going to complain about motion sickness though is going to be astronomical.
VR's getting better with that.
People can't handle walking in VR. I remember when it first came out. And I remember we were in the office playing it, and this is going to sound awful, but none of the people in the office who were like. Asian people struggle with first-person shooters. Not everyone, obviously, but there tends to be a correlation between motion sickness and first-person shooters. Like, I remember Kenny, they were playing a third-person shooter in one of the TOG streams. He was on the ground going, oh, because he'd look at the screen, he'd get motion sick.
He said in the esports comps, it's all Asians, wall-to-wall Asians in the fighting games.
So,
and wall-to-wall will normally... Russians that in the first-person shooters.
Yeah, right. And
I said that to someone. They called me racist. I thought, no, let's go have a look at him. That's just how it is for whatever reason. It's just it's like saying when you got a running event, all the fastest runners are black people. Like it's just how it is. Now there may be reasons, and you can go into that, but it's just how it is.
Yeah. And so,
when's the last time a white person ran a 100 meters race and won? You have to.
In Australia, it's
different. 1950.
What was his name? Oh, fuck, I always forget. John Landy. Yeah.
But it's just a thing.
Yeah, but so we and I was the only person. And even then, it was still. And I don't get motion sick like at all.
Yeah.
And even I was like, "Oh, this is like my brain's struggling to comprehend what's happening here." And
actually, my wife gets sick if you spin around the screen. Like the kids will do it in Minecraft just
I
to
do
shit
it all
her.
the time. Yeah.
And she'll really lose. She gets really sick, and most of her family, as far as I know, does, and they're like Poles. So.
Yeah.
But normally from the area of the world, it's really good at first-person shooters. So it is a thing. She hasn't tried VR, but she'd probably die.
And so VR always had that weird movement system where it was like, oh, put an icon here and you move to there. Put an icon here,
that started to go away.
And I hated that. I was always the thing that got me out of VR. Like,
When they first brought out VR Fallout, that did that. You had to click and go there. But I got a recent copy of Fallout on VR just to try because I think it was on special or something. There was a Skyrim as well.
Look at you, Mr. VR la-di-da.
Yeah, I mean, I can't play it too long because it actually does put a lot of pressure on my neck, and with a bad neck it hurts. But I do enjoy it. But now you can move like smoothly.
Yeah, right.
So I can see why it'd be disorienting some people, but also the displays are getting very high res.
Yeah, it's the refresh rate that gets you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're getting to a point now where it's not throwing off as much.
Yeah.
And you can still see it. Like I've even played Minecraft VR just for something to do with RTX turned on, which is really cool. It's a nice experience. Yeah. But you still, as soon as it drops a frame rate, you start to get a little bit queasy.
Yeah.
But that's improving.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't know, VR is still a gimmick. I don't think there's a widespread application for it yet. So, I'm glad it exists.
To run around my world in Minecraft, you can actually like go to bed in Minecraft.
I've seen those.
It's cool as.
Jesus, I've seen those. Every Reddit story that gets put over Minecraft footage, I'm like, this is VR for sure. Like, you can just tell by the way they run around. Anyway, but yeah, no. Even if you can't get on VR, Attack on Titan 1 and 2 on
those were
the last gen games are pretty good.
Got already. Okay, cool.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I did put in because I'm becoming more of a believer in VR. Originally, as Jason died in the background, I didn't. I thought VR was going to be a gimmick, and in fact, I would have put my money on AR because I think I'd seen
I still think AR hasn't been done correctly, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I'd seen some stuff. Like, did you know that there's a company in Melbourne? I won't give too many details because it never happened because of our internet was not good enough. But this is a few years ago. They had it to a point where you could watch an AFL game on your table with all the players, where they are on the ground, the ball, everything in real time.
Yeah,
right?
Nice.
They just couldn't get the data in Australia's internet quick enough, and it all seems to have gone away now. And you've seen
that's like Microsoft Holodesk and stuff. Just the army just bought it out.
Yeah, they were supposed to be $800 for HoloLens. Yeah. And they had the demo of Minecraft. But imagine that Minecraft demo with on the table, which never happened, which is weird. Yeah. It hasn't even happened in VR. But you would have like an AFL ground, and you could have it in your living room table, and you can actually have a look at it. So that stuff was being developed by a Melbourne company. I don't know if they're a video game company necessarily. Never happened. But I always thought AR, where you could actually project TV screens and things onto your normal walls. I always thought that was going to be a thing, but neither have really caught on. I think Facebook's still pushing Meta. I think Apple's VR thing, even though they had a massive media push by giving every journalist in America one, that seems to have sort of like gone nowhere. Yeah. But the price was hideous.
4,000 or something, wasn't it? That's American.
Can't remember. It was a lot, but it was an Apple product. So Apple fans don't get sticker shock like other people. It's but
it's almost a point of pride.
It is like how people going to know I'm better than them if I don't. But the Oculus one, the Facebook one, recently they were down to like $360 for a Quest 2, and that's actually pretty good and pretty fast now. Yeah, so that's why I threw the VR thing in.
Yeah, because you've got the Quest. What are the main ones? You've got the Quest. You've got
is the HTC Vive still around, the Steam one?
Yeah, so you got the Valve one.
There's one that looks like a pair of old Cyberpunk goggles,
right? Yeah.
Which looks cool, but from what I was looking, because I was tempted with the idea because I'd like a VR headset that is just like goggles. Yeah, I'd rather look like I'm deep sea diving than wearing a big headset. Plus, also the weight, because the weight does hurt my neck after a while. Yeah. But the goggles one looked like it only worked off your phone. And that's kind of like, I want it to be running stuff off my Steam catalog. Because that's the good thing about the Oculus.
Sony are doing that now with the Backbone and stuff. You can play on your phone, like remote play, as long as your console's on. I'm like, what a fucking pointless exercise this is. Like,
the Sony VR, I don't know if it has yet, or it's at least been announced. Sony VR will now do off PC. So
they were always building towards that. As soon as they started releasing all those Sony AAA titles on PC, it's like how long before Sony works on things. The second they get to work on that, the second people hacked the VR games on PS5, and we're off to the
Yeah,
races.
although the Sony one still needs an umbilical cord, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah. See, the at least the Quest 2 that I've got
Runs wireless.
Fully wireless,
Yeah.
and it does a good job because you can stream like Alex.
Half-Life.
Half-Life Alex. Why blank on Half-Life? Half-Life Alex. You can stream that wireless, and it looks still does a really good job. So you wouldn't know it was coming over your wireless network. It looks incredible inside.
Well,
VR.
wireless networks themselves have people underestimate how well they've done. Like my Xbox and my PlayStation, I can run wired, and I'll get a boost on how much they're downloading. But both my Xbox Series and my PlayStation 5, they'll download off my NBN at 280, 290 megabits a second. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, I'm fully vaxxed, and I've had a booster or two, so
Yeah,
I get
5G's
really
up,
good
yeah,
reception.
yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, that's VR. So we digress in VR there, but that's good. I've run out of things on my list. Anything
the only
you want
thing
to bring up?
the only thing I'd mention is Bit Summit is coming up. So we got Montreal Comic Con next week for anyone. So the 12th and 13th, 12th and 13th, 13th, 14th of July. So do check that out. And then I'm away for Bit Summit in Japan for 2 weeks, so we may either have to take hiatus or do an online call or something like that. We'll figure it out.
In Japan, yeah. When we went to Japan, my son was playing. He took his gaming laptop and he was playing games. I think he was playing
Payday 3. It was Payday 3 when it came out.
Was it? Yeah. He was playing on his laptop from our Airbnb in Tokyo, and he said he was getting better pings playing with his friends in Melbourne than he does being in Melbourne playing with the same friends.
Our net's not too bad here now. I don't know. Have I shown you since
He said he was getting better. It was better in Tokyo playing against friends in Melbourne than it was being in Melbourne playing against friends in Melbourne.
Have I shown you our speeds
We're
here?
a third world country.
So this is running off my... Oh, no, this one's no good because it's going to be running off my power connector, which means it's limited to 100 megabit. But yeah.
I remember the days when everyone thought the power companies were going to be internet companies because you can put internet over.
Yeah,
power
which is what I'm
lines.
doing here. So that's So that's literally
and that's why
my
a
room.
lot of people jumped into buying up power companies a couple of decade or or two ago. But then that never really materialised.
Yeah. So I mean that's still just run over
94.88. I get about 20. I've got HFC at my house, and for whatever reason, I still only get in the 20s.
Really?
Yeah, it's insane.
Let me show you my laptop one when we're gone. This is wireless.
No need to show off.
Anyway, but yeah, no. So I'll be over there.
It's bigger. I get it.
I'll be over there for Bit Summit, and then I'm back there for TGS. So if there's anything, I'd say I'd keep an eye on the Bit Summit streams. I keep an eye on Bit Summit announcements. It's what their biggest indie game festival. It's in Kyoto.
Oh yeah. Oh really?
It's in the worst time of the year. When it's stinking fucking hot, and it is awful. It's like being in like Mackay or somewhere like that, or Cairns. Not that you ever want to be in Cairns, full stop, but it's way too goddamn hot. It's like 33 degrees and 95% humidity, which for me is just a death sentence.
So Bit Summit's coming up when?
The 2 weekends away from when we record this. So the 19th, 20th, 21st. And then
Cool.
I'm in Tokyo then for another week until the Monday, Tuesday, and then I'll be back. So
only 1 week.
2 weeks. I leave on the 15th.
Okay, cool.
So I'm out on the 15th. I'm back on the 29th.
Okay, cool.
It's one of those things where I'm already missing 2 weeks of work. I might as well maximise it. So I'm debating even just coming back early August. You know what I mean?
So basically, you're doing your part to prop up the Japanese economy.
Yeah. Well, at the moment, the yen's still pretty good.
Do you get Christmas cards from the Japanese Prime Minister?
108. 108 at the moment. That's nuts.
We should change our system again because I'd like to look at my bank account and see I've got 10,000.
Yeah. I've got 10,000 cents. Yeah.
That'd make me happy.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So that's crazy. That's crazy. Anyway.
Cool.
That's my only thing. Yeah. Just keep an eye out for Bit Summit, and then we're starting to come into the quiet time of the year. We got Gamescom in August, so that'll be the next big convention, and then it'll be TGS, and then we're into holiday season. So we're back to more releases of games.
Then off to the Game of the Year things when you think very long and hard about your Game of the Year, and then choose Helldivers no matter what happens.
It's gonna be. I mean, I just don't know what beats it. Like I've got to download.
What could beat it?
I don't know.
I know. We'll do that another time. We'll
let's say for when we're short on time. We're not short. We're actually running pretty much dead on at the moment. So let's not ruin that.
Cool.
I don't know. I'm trying to think.
No, we'll do that next podcast. We'll just say what could beat Helldivers.
Yeah, and I don't think there's much. Anything else you want to mention?
Retro gamers, go check out Evercade. It is really a fantastic product. It doesn't cost much. It's great.
Yeah.
And the cartridge is why I'm going to do it again. Oh.
And that came through. It came through. People heard it.
No, I'm just doing it again, though. Anyway, yeah, so go check it, Evercade. It's awesome.
So I'll go get my rifle and do the same thing. It makes a similar noise.
Okay, Moist Critical.
Yeah. Oh, gee, you call me Pom. You've called me Moist Critical. Jesus Christ. It's like you don't want to live.
I'm glad you're sick.
Yeah. He's just got to outrun me, yeah. Don't forget, NewGamePlus.tv, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, New Game Plus TV, one word. We'll be back next week. I'll do one last one before I ship out, and then we'll figure out what we're doing digitally. And then hopefully we want to go back to doing the Facebook streams. I keep talking about it. I figure if I keep telling people, eventually someone will call us on it. We'll have to go back to doing it. So
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah. GG for now. Good to see you, and we'll catch you guys next. All right.